What's happening, people? Weekend just finished. Monday's here. That means one thing and one thing only. Premier League review show. Let's go. Welcome back, people, with yours truly, Big Luge and the Armament Factory. Today we've got 4 topics and the news we're going to talk about. So the first topic will be Liverpool's stung by the bees. What? Liverpool stung by the bees. Second topic will be Manchester City faced off with the villains. Third topic, Arsenal sent Palace packing. Last but not least, has the Amarin factor clicked? Then we'll move on to the news and I'll leave you in peace. Let's go. Now, the big juggernauts that's Liverpool turned up at the GTEC Community Stadium with the whole country thinking that they're going to demolish Brentford. However, Brentford had other plans. That day, Brentford at home at the GTEC Community Stadium told Liverpool, "Thou shalt not pass." Everybody and their mother had Liverpool favourites to win that game. However, Brentford had other plans. Not long after kickoff, around the 5th minute, Coyote decided to take a long throw. And as he did, Adja was at the first post to flick it backwards. When Adja flicked it backwards, none other than Dango Utara was at the back post to karate kick the ball at the back of the net. At this point, Liverpool was shell-shocked, with all the players looking at each other, looking for someone to blame. And it did not end there. 40 minutes later, Damsgaard decided to play a through ball to Sade, annihilating Liverpool's central defence. Now, Sade takes the ball in his stride, Konate chasing him, and now Sade is one-on-one with Mamadashvili. But why did Konate give up on the chase? Why did he stop? And of course, Sade, in the form he's in, is never gonna miss. Brentford were all over Liverpool that first half, making Arne Slot look like a second-grade PE teacher. The referee decided to give 5 minutes of injury time at the end of the first half, and within those 5 minutes, Kerkez got his first Liverpool goal. Now, not long after Kerkez celebrated, the whistle blew, and that was the end of the first half. The second half was much of the same. Brentford dominating Liverpool, Liverpool being on the back foot. Very confusingly, around the 60th minute, Brentford were awarded a penalty. Everybody was confused. So was I when I first saw it. I thought it was a free kick. However, with no complaints from Brentford, Igor Thiago put the ball in the back of the net. 3-1 Brentford. From then on, Liverpool started making changes. And as they made those changes, they wanted to get back into the game. However, by then, it was a little bit too late. The only piece of consolation Liverpool got in the second half was that Mo Salah, who was benched in the Champions League game, ended up getting a wonder strike, picking the ball out of the air with his foot, then striking it with one touch and hitting the back of the net. However, it was a little bit too late. The game ended 3-2 to Brentford, but the real victory was Brentford's performance. They absolutely bullied Liverpool for 75 to 80 minutes of that game, and then they topped it off by getting the 3 points. So there definitely was a sting in this tale, as Liverpool got stung by the Brentford bees. So there are some questions that got to be asked here. Are Liverpool in trouble? Is Slot out of his depth? Or are the wheels of the bus simply not going round and round anymore? Another question has to be asked. Is Arne Slot losing the plot? Questioning how other teams play? Low block, long throws, set pieces? Focus on your own team, Slot, and don't worry about everyone else's game. Let's go. Now, the next topic is Man City's face-off with the villains. Now, having seen only the highlights of this game, there isn't much I can tell you about it, other than Matty Cash turned up with a wonder strike. Now, I will say, Manchester City huffed and they puffed to equalize that wonder strike of Matty Cash, but to no avail. Haaland even had a goal in the back of the net that was disallowed. So unfortunately, there isn't much to say about a 1-0 win, but all I want to say is congratulations to Unai Emery, congratulations to Aston Villa, and congratulations to Matty Cash for that wonder strike. Absolutely unbelievable. With Manchester City dropping points again, leaving the gap between them and us 6 points. Are Manchester City in trouble? Are they still in the title race? Is Pep Guardiola losing his edge? All these questions have to be answered. Other than that, there isn't much to say. Great win for Aston Villa. Aston Villa have turned their form around, starting the Premier League this season diabolically, loss after loss, draw after draw. However, these last 5 games, it's win, 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 win for the Aston Villa. Well done. Now we come to the topic that matters the most. Arsenal sent Palace packing. Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m, Arsenal kicked off against Crystal Palace at the London Emirates Stadium. We were all hoping for a fantastic game with lots of goals and lots of actions. However, unfortunately, we had another boring, sloppy, tedious type of game. But it doesn't matter, because what matters the most is we got the 3 points. Now, Arsenal this season have not been the Arsenal of the recent years. Having been spoiled under Arsene Wenger with absolutely beautiful football, one-touch tiki-taka has now changed. We are now going back to our old adage of boring, boring Arsenal, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Now, I don't have a problem with it. As long as we get the 3 points, boring, boring Arsenal it shall be. Now, as I said, the first half kicked off very slow, very boring. It was literally like watching paint dry. But on the 39th minute, again, we get a set piece. And who other than Declan Rice would be there standing behind the ball? Now, with Declan Rice behind the ball for every set piece, know that the ball is coming to a danger area. Now, on the 39th minute, Declan Rice took that free kick, and as the ball flew, who other than Big Gabby himself ran to the back post to head the ball back into the danger zone. Now, with Gabby heading the ball back into the danger zone, here comes none other than former Crystal Palace player Eberechi Eze with a karate kick to get the ball in the back of the net. 1-0 to the Arsenal. Let's go. Now, to be honest with you guys, that was all the action in the game. The rest of the game was pretty much the same. Tedious, boring, watching paint dry, not many chances. Yes, Arsenal were creating chances, shots on target were happening, but nothing solid, nothing went in, nothing other than that goal happened in that whole game. Now, that doesn't mean that the game wasn't good. The game was actually good, but the game was good for a purist. Now, for a football purist like myself, I enjoyed the game, but I know many people that came up after the game and started complaining. Why are we playing like this? Why is it boring? Why is it sloppy? Why are we playing like this? Guys, relax. We want to win the trophy. If that means we got to play like this, that means we got to play like this. As long as we get the 3 points and we stay top of the league. Let's go. So that's it. That rounds up the Arsenal versus Palace game, as there isn't much to say other than Eberechi Eze's a wonderful goal, his first goal for the Arsenal, and what a goal it was. Now, the last topic before we move on to the news is Ruben Amorim. Has the Amorim factor clicked? Because Manchester United are a whole different team. Now, I did a hate-along for that game between Manchester United and Brighton. And between me and you, I actually thought that Brighton was going to win. With Manchester United just barely getting 2 consecutive wins in a row, I didn't think they'll get the third. But boy, was I wrong. Absolutely fantastic football by Bryan Mbeumo, Cunha, Casemiro, De Ligt, Amad Diallo. It looked like a whole different team. What has happened? How did they change? What clicked? Who had the penny drop in their head? What's going on? It went from bottom of the league to top of the tree. How did that happen? Now, the game was absolutely fantastic. Around the 24th minute, Matheus Cunha, scoring his first goal for Manchester United, scored an absolute cracker. About 10 minutes later, after Matheus Cunha's goal went in, Casemiro stood outside of the Brighton box and decided to take a shot. Now, that shot was going wide of the goal. However, Ayari, turning his back, deflected the ball straight into the net. 2-0 Manchester United. So Manchester United went in at halftime with a 2-0 lead. Now, when was the last time that happened? Now, the second half was much of the same. Manchester United dominating and pushing for more goals. Around the 60th minute, who other than Bryan Mbeumo turns up and gets the third goal for Manchester United. Now, at 3-0 down, Brighton didn't give up. And that's the type of team Brighton is. And that's what I like about them. They keep fighting. They keep going. They play to the final whistle. And around the 74th, 75th minute, they got their reward. Danny Welbeck, former Manchester United player, former Arsenal player, still has the goods, still has the power, still has the ability to get plenty of goals. Now, at 3-1, everybody started to look at Manchester United as if they was going to fold. Now, as Danny Welbeck gets his goal, the pressure is being piled on Manchester United. Around the 92nd minutes, Charalampos Koustolos decided that This game ain't done, and he got his goal. Now here we go again. Manchester United, after going 3-0 up, are now looking at a 3-3 draw. Now after all the hard work that Manchester United put in, here comes Brighton. Time to spoil the party. But unfortunately for Brighton, Manchester United had other plans. Here comes Bryan Mbeumo for his second goal in the 97th minute. 4-2 Manchester United. It was an absolutely unbelievable game of football. I enjoyed it. Please go watch my hate along. I don't like Manchester United, but well done to them. That is 3 consecutive wins in the Premier League for Ruben Amorim. Can he make it 4? Can he make it 5? My question is, how did he turn it around? What clicked? Did the Ruben Amorim factor finally click? We'll find out. Right, now we're in the last segment, guys, and we're just going to round up with the rest of the games. I'm just going to quickly run down all the scores for you, and then we're going to go to the news. Right, the first game was on Friday between Leeds and West Ham. West Ham in deep, deep trouble because that game ended 2 for Leeds, 1 for West Ham. What's happening, Nuno? You were meant to be there to turn things around. Not happening yet. Then we go to another game that made me absolutely happy this weekend. Sunderland turned up at Stamford Bridge. Not just turned up, they got the win. Chelsea 1, Sunderland 2. Now the next game was at St James Park where Newcastle hosted Fulham. Fulham, having taken several losses on the bounce now, were desperate for a win. But Newcastle had other plans. They turned up and told Fulham, this is our fortress. Thou shalt not pass. So the game ended Newcastle 2, Fulham 1. Now the next game was an absolute cracker. It was a 6-pointer. It was between a promoted side and a side steering at relegation. Wolves versus Burnley. Scott Parker's Burnley turned up at the Molineux Stadium ready to take the 3 points. Not only did they go 1 goal up, no, they went 2 goals up in the first half. Now with Wolves being 2 goals down in the first half an hour, their fans started to chant, "You are not fit to wear the shirt. You are not fit to wear the shirt." Getting all this abuse from their fans, the Wolves players decided to take it upon themselves to start fighting harder. And fight they did, because around the 42nd minute, they get a penalty, and Strand Larsen puts it in the back of the net. Now, not long after Strand Larsen tucks away the penalty, Monetsi comes up and scores another goal for Wolves, ending the half 2 for Wolves, 2 for Burnley. Now, Wolves came out the second half hungrier than the first, creating chance after chance after chance. Now, Wolves kept huffing, kept puffing, but to no avail, because Dubravka made save after save after save. He was incredible. Now, as the game was coming to an end, it started looking like a 2-2 draw, guys. But in the 95th minute, who other than Lyle Foster turned up to get the winner for Burnley. And the game ended Wolves 2, Burnley 3. Now, if you go on the first half performance, Burnley deserved to win. But if you go on the second part of the first half and the second half performance, Wolves did deserve to get something out of that game. Very unfortunate for them and their coach that they didn't. Now, if you go on the basis of the first half an hour of the first half, Scott Parker's team deserved to win. But if you go on the last part of the first half and the second half, Victor Pereira's team absolutely deserved to get something out of the game. It was very unfortunate for Wolves that they didn't get nothing out of that game. It's a shame for the fans, for the players, for the manager that they ended up having a problem at the end of the game. That's not a good look, guys. Not for the club, not for the manager, not for the players. I hope it gets resolved. Then, of course, there was Bournemouth versus Nottingham Forest. Andoni Iraola versus Sean Dyche. Now, Andoni Iraola's team, Bournemouth, has been playing unbelievable. They are second in the Premier League. Do they have a chance to get into the Champions League this season? Yes, they do. The way they're playing, unbelievable. Tavernier scoring directly from the corner. Unbelievable. And then, of course, we can't forget Ellie Junior's Groupie's goal. What an unbelievable goal. So off the back of a great win for Sean Dyche in the Europa League, unfortunately, they've come back into the Premier League and taken another loss. I hope for Sean Dyche's sake that he can be the firefighter that they're asking him to be to get them out of the bottom and take them back to the top of the league like last season. Then, of course, there's only one match left, guys. I don't really like talking about it because I don't care. Everton versus Tottenham. And yes, Tottenham beat them 3-0 at the Hill Dixon Stadium, which was Everton's first loss in their new stadium. They had a good unbeaten run at the Hill Dixon Stadium that they unfortunately broke by hosting Tottenham and losing 3-0 to Tottenham Hotspur. That's it, guys. I don't talk about Tottenham. So, boom! Let's move on. Now, that's it, guys. We're coming to the end of the podcast. There's only a few more things I want to talk about. Things that are in the news. Things that everyone's talking about. Quick 1-2 minute segment. Everyone's talking about Arne Slot. Is he deluded? Has he lost the plot? What is he talking about? Coming after the game, complaining about the way other teams set up, about the way other teams play, the long throws, the set pieces. Dude, play your own game. Focus on your own team. Don't worry about what other people do and try to win some games. Because 5 losses on a bounce, that's not a good look, Arne Slot. It's not a good look. Now, the other talk is, of course, Manchester City and Pep Guardiola. Why have they fallen off so badly? What's going on over there? How come they're losing these games that they would win usually? Why are the players not performing to their best of ability? And can Haaland by himself win Manchester City the Premier League? Questions like these are being asked in the news by all the broadcasters, by all the pundits. Also, Jamie Carragher sounding the alarm for Liverpool, telling everyone they're in a crisis, telling everyone that this is a huge, major problem for Liverpool. Now, here's one more thing that I want to say before I leave you guys, and this is very controversial, but this is my opinion, and this is what I believe is going to happen. But Mo Salah is leaving Liverpool in January. He's not staying. He's moving on. He's already changed his profile pictures. All his social status that has anything to do with Liverpool have now been changed. He is getting ready for a major move to Saudi. He wants to go back to the Middle East. He wants to be closer to Egypt. He wants to get the big pay package before he retires. So know that Mo Salah will not be here to complete the season. Adios, amigo. See you later. That's it. That's the end of the podcast, guys. Thank you for being here with me today. Please subscribe. Please like. Please share. Please repost. Please remix. All of that, all of that, all of that. And I'll see you at the next watch along. But one more thing before I go. I hope your team loses.